different people. Buddy.
Yeah, buddy.
Hey, it's fantasy football time.
Oh yeah.
Welcome everyone to the Couch Champions Fantasy Football Podcast.
Oh,
We
Episode
back
2.
again.
back
We back
again.
again. How y'all feeling, fellas?
I'm feeling good,
I
man.
feel good, man. I feel good.
Ready
Always a
to
good
talk.
time to talk football.
Ready to talk some football.
Oh yeah, it's always good to talk football. Always good to have you people with us. Thank you, all of our listeners. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in thus far on this fantasy football journey. We appreciate you. We also want to let you know that we have social media. We are on the social
Yes.
medias.
Yes, we
We
are.
On the
have the
social media.
Facebook, the
Yep.
Instagram, the Twitter,
Yep.
and the YouTube. Please go and follow us on everything you can follow us on because we have a presence everywhere. And if we are missing out something, let us know because that's all I know. I don't really, I don't know. Y'all,
You're
are you
not,
missing anything, guys?
you're
We
not on the
missing
TikTok
anything?
yet. So,
Get
No,
TikTok.
oh, TikTok. Yeah,
Yep.
we missing the TikTok.
when we get big time,
Unfortunately.
when we get big time, we'll get some.
I don't know if
TikTok.
our
Yeah,
audience can
yeah.
see us.
Y-
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, y'all saw that thing the other day with the girl on Jimmy Fallon doing the
No.
dances, and like
What's
she
that?
was like, I'm
No.
just there's like TikTok dances, and
I gotta look that up then.
they go with a specific song, and I'm just I
They're
don't
more
understand.
hand signals than dances.
You make
TikTok
it.
is the first thing that has made me feel like the next generation, like I am aged.
Yep.
I was
Like
just
I think
gonna
that
say, you make me feel so old just now.
I am
I
old.
think everything was like our generation up, like, but now I think TikTok is the generation that's a different mindset. I don't understand it.
I think we reached the
I feel
age
like
where like your parents, like you always have to show them how to do stuff on the computer, and they'd be like,
Yep.
yeah,
I could bother to learn it, but I don't really feel like it. That's where I'm at
right,
now with TikTok.
exactly. That's exactly how I feel. But yes, thank you guys again for tuning in, and please check us out on all our different social media networks. We're gonna get right into it. We want to talk some fantasy education in this first segment, guys. We just want to just for the beginners, just in case for those of you who are beginners, for those of you who may not have as much experience in this fantasy world, we want to talk a little bit about the different types of fantasy leagues because there are so many different types, but there are three main types, and we just want to discuss those main three types just for a second and hopefully give you guys some things to remember as well and when it comes to these different fantasy league types. So Sherlin, you want to talk to us a little bit about one of those league types?
I'll go with my favorite, which is Dynasty. And so with Dynasty, like you draft for now and the future. And so your roster will be made up of rookies, veterans, those who are in win now mode, et cetera, et cetera. And so every year, you would keep your players, or you can trade them, or you can see what other free agents are available. But every year, you're going to have a rookie draft. So those players that are coming into the league for the first time, depending on your seeding, you'll say which one you want to get. First round, second round, you're drafting your rookie for the next 10 years, you're drafting your rookie for right now. So that's my favorite. What makes it fun? Like I said, you in my dynasty league, I like to look back at where I started, and I saw where I almost dropped Derrick Henry because he wasn't getting the opportunity that I thought he should be getting. Um,
Boy,
I look back at Chris Hogan. He had a monster season our first year, and I drafted him in my third round the next year, and of course he did nothing after that. So
Chris Hogan. Boy, I
right,
remember the Chris Hogan hype.
right,
Mm.
and so when you look back
7-Eleven.
when you look back at the hype you had for those former players and the promise that and the hype that people would have for the upcoming season, you're like, oh my gosh, what why did I do that? But that makes it fun. The winning, the losing, the misses, the times you connect. It's awesome. It's my favorite football format.
All right. Yeah, I love Dynasty, man. I mean, Dynasty is I think it's the ultimate. Strangely enough, it's not the most famous type of league though.
No.
You know,
Right.
I think Dynasty is the best way to play fantasy just because it's fantasy, it's more fantasy. And
I
as
agree.
far as since I started playing fantasy football, I just wanted more. I mean, every time the league was over, every time the season was over, it's just depression,
The other
and
thing,
now I got to wait another couple months until I can play fantasy again.
and that's the beautiful thing about fantasy. One is that the league never ends because as soon as your league finish, you're like, well, what do I do for next year? Or even if you're eliminated from the playoffs, you start to seed. You try to get your best seeding for the upcoming draft. Um, you may look to persons who may want to win now, who may trade their top player or their rookie player to get a top player so they can win the championship. And so it's pretty much a year-round format.
I just want to
Yeah.
correct you. You said that's the best thing about fantasy. You mean about dynasty.
Yeah, I should say that again. Eh?
No, you good. I just
No,
was
man.
making just correcting you, making sure they know exactly what you mean.
Yeah,
So it's gonna
Dynasty.
be
Glenn or Sander. Sorry. Anyway, spit it up. Sander, let's talk about redraft.
All right. So redraft is it's basically how most people get started in fantasy football. It's you draft your team at the start of the season, manage those teams, those players throughout the year, then you redraft a new team the following year. That's the name, redraft. You can do trades, add drops, you can adjust your roster as you go, and you typically compete against head to head, just like every other league. But with redraft, you have to focus more on what can win me a championship this year. And I put together a simple pros and cons list of doing redraft. So the pros of doing redraft is the best for beginners and casual fans. There's no maintenance and there's less commitment. One bad trade won't screw up your team for the long haul.
Mm-hmm.
You may lose this year, but you could start fresh next year.
right.
Yeah, that's true.
And ownership is flexible in redraft leagues. Like if you could drop a owner this year, and you could pretty much find a new owner to fill in, as opposed to Dynasty, where if someone drop out, they usually drop out because their team suck,
Yeah.
and now
Mhm.
you got to find someone to pick up their sucky team.
And that sucks for your dynasty league.
It does.
Yeah, that's one of the toughest
It
things about
really does.
dynasty leagues,
Right.
having uneven teams.
Yeah. So if you're doing a dynasty league, you have to find people who committed for the long haul, who willing to put in the work year in and year out. The cons of a redraft league is trades are a lot less likely because people feel like, it's a short-term thing. I ain't really got to go there and trade. I just stick with what I have and hope I could win. The stakes aren't as high as they are in Dynasty. And people usually lose interest if they see they don't have a shot at the playoffs.
Right.
It's like, well, pack it up, try again next year.
Next year.
And the biggest con to me in redraft is there's nothing to do in the off season.
In the off season. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
You
yeah.
have to wait until football comes back to play again. And that
Yeah.
was one of the main reasons why I switched to Dynasty.
Yeah. No, I think we all agree with that one.
Good
That
job.
particular con there. It's fantasy, man. We want more of it. We don't want less.
Yeah, you
Give
gotta,
me more.
Give me more. Feed me.
just a thrill of building your team and seeing how you could make it better. It's like,
Yeah.
Mhm.
that's
Yeah,
the best
You're like a
definitely.
GM in Dynasty. That's one of the things
Right.
that I didn't say.
Right.
You're
Yeah.
the GM of your league.
Yeah. And so
But
it
of
really
course-
gives you that control. It makes you feel it just connects you more to, like, you connect to players,
Yeah.
to
Right.
particular players, the players that you own. That's
Right.
like your children.
Right.
That's
Some-
like like when something happened to them in their real life, you feel that.
Seriously. Guys,
You're more vested in them.
Can I admit something that I literally cried when Dak got his injury last year? My wife said
Did you?
she'd never seen me
Did-
more affectionate. I literally cried.
Oh man. Oh man.
Yeah.
See there, and that's
the
what
connection
Dynasty
you
does to you, man.
Yeah.
You a papa.
Yeah. And the thing is, I don't want to say hate, but I don't like the Cowboys as a team. But with Dak leading the way, I'm like, come on. Well, I'm like, please suck defense. and keep on slinging Dak.
See, that's the same reason why these players hate fantasy now. But yeah, I'm just gonna talk quickly about the last league, which is keeper, the last type of league. Keeper, I think, is improbably it's in between league, in between redraft and dynasty. A keeper league is basically your chance to get a taste at what it would be like to be in a full dynasty league. In a keeper league, you get to pick a player or two or three, or, depending on the league that you're in. You get to keep a few players from your league, and they will carry on with you throughout to your next season, to the next NFL season, and so on and so forth. And so, with keeper leagues, you are allowed to get that feeling of, having that player that is dominant, but you also get also that chance to change your team up and build players around that player, or build your team around that player. When it comes to that player that you want to keep, whenever you picked that player in the draft, is the same pick that you will lose. So consider that maybe you kept Christian McCaffrey from last year. You would have picked Christian McCaffrey in the first round. And so you will not have a first round pick if you decide to keep Christian McCaffrey. Now, the upside of that is you get to bring Christian McCaffrey over into your next league. But the downside is, you no longer have a chance to get that lottery ticket. So depending on where you draft in the next season, that could be a big win or a big loss for you, because you might keep Christian McCaffrey, but then you also might have come last in the league, which means you would have had the 12th pick.
Right.
And so, when it's definitely a strategy. I think it's very strategy based. Sometimes even more so than the other two leagues, in my opinion, because you have a lot of things to think about when it comes to keepers. You're not just keeping the best player.
Right.
You have to think about what makes sense for your team.
Right.
So that's actually one of the reasons why, I might decide if I wanted to stay in a keeper league, do a keeper league rather than a redraft or a dynasty. If I wanted to have that level of strategy, and I liked being able to kind of have a different team every year, not necessarily be locked into that one dynasty team, and I have to figure out everything that's going on with those players.
Right.
So yeah, I think that's pretty much what keeper leagues are about.
Good summary.
There's one thing I wanted to add to a difference between dynasty and redraft leagues is player value. For dynasty, you probably not going to pick up a player who's like at the end of their career.
Right.
But in redraft, I only need you for 1 year. You may have a good year. I can pick you up and put you on my bench, but I don't want to.
Right.
I don't want to roster that player on my dynasty team, because you want to keep your team young and looking towards the future as opposed to old and decrepit.
Right.
A la Julio Jones.
I was waiting for someone to call his name.
Listen, Julio right now, I think he is one of the most polarizing players in Dynasty right now. And I don't want to spend too much time on this, but I think we do have to touch just for a second, because Julio Jones right now is such an interesting. It's so interesting thinking about him right now, because I don't know how it's going to play out. It's like he's older. We know he's older,
Okay.
but we also know that he hasn't necessarily. I mean, we know he hasn't necessarily missed a step, because Julio has been Julio. Julio, he'll show up some games he doesn't show up. But last year he did pretty much the same thing.
You've been saying that for the last 4 years now.
The last 4 years. I mean,
Right.
Listen, at some point the other shoe is gonna drop.
It's just a win.
I think if you own Julio, you have to expect him to miss at least 4 to 5 games every season.
Yeah, that's built into the value.
Or limp off, or scare you half of multiple games.
It's built into the
Because-
value though. But the games that he does play, and he does dominate.
He dominates. No, he wins you. He wins you weeks. He literally wins you weeks. He comes in, gets his 4 touchdown game, and then
Okay.
you might not see him again for the next couple games, and then he come in and do it again. But Julio is interesting. I think this year though, I think he's actually, the value is going to be right for Julio. I don't think he's going to be a first round pick anymore. And I think getting Julio as your wide receiver 2 is going to be that's going to be a play.
2 or 3.
2 or 3.
Yeah.
I mean, 2 or 3. But even if I had him as my wide receiver 2, I'd be happy. If I was able to get another really top wide receiver, if I was able to get Devontae Adams or Tyreek Hill or something, and come in and get Julio as my wide receiver too.
That'd be
Right.
great.
That'd be
Yeah.
beautiful. That's exactly what you need from him. So I think he's going to be drafted where his value actually is.
As you say every year, but let's go on.
Yeah. I know you're a Julio lover, but
I am.
moving on.
Anyway, moving on.
Moving on. We don't want to get into that. Guys, we're gonna have some fun right now. We are going to play a game. You guys wanna play a little game?
Let's play a little game.
Let's play this game. Let's see how we gonna do this. So who wants to start? I think we know what the game is, but does someone y'all wanna explain?
Well, let me
All
start
right,
it
so
off.
we're basically going to play guess that player. So we're going to give you the stats of this player, and based on those stats, we have to guess who we think this player is. So I'm going to start it off. I'm not going to tell you his. Should I tell you his position?
You could whatever you feel. Now it's up to you. You have the stats. It's up to you. If you tell us something that lets us guess him early, that's on you.
Let's
Okay.
put on our thinking caps.
Okay.
Dun, 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 dun,
Just
dun,
because he was so,
dun.
just because seeing him, I was like, really up there? All right. He played 15 games.
Okay.
He
Okay.
had 90 receptions. He was targeted 143 times. He had 1,374 receiving yards, averaging 15.3 yards a reception,
15.3. Wow.
9 touchdowns.
Whew.
His longest reception was 63 yards, and he had 23 plays over 20 yards.
This guy's a beast.
He averaged 91.6 yards a game. One
91.6.
fumble
Mm.
This
and 369 yards after the catch.
or RU's no, it wouldn't be AJ Brown. He didn't have that many.
300.
How many targets?
143 targets.
That's not AJ Brown.
You say you still want you don't want to tell us where he what number he was.
You need me to go there?
No, I
Hold on, let me
mean
guess. Can I guess? Justin
Go ahead.
Jefferson? Jefferson?
No. This player was very surprising when I saw him up there.
Deontay Johnson.
Nope.
Tyler Lockett?
Nope. He's clearly a wide receiver.
Clearly.
He was the wide receiver 5 on the year.
Oh, really? The wide receiver 5.
Mhm.
Huh.
It wouldn't be Tyreek would be like number 1.
No, Tyreek was the 1, I think.
And it
Or
wouldn't.
Devontae Adams.
He's tied with Devonte Adams.
Really?
Type Devontae.
It's
Yeah, I'm stumped. I'm
It's
stumped.
a shocker.
I'm stumped too. Who is it?
Calvin Ridley.
Really?
Why
Really
didn't I
now?
do that?
I was extremely surprised when I saw him up there.
That is crazy.
I did not
I
realize
knew he had a good season.
I knew he had a
Calvin
good
Ridley.
season too,
But that's the
but I
thing.
didn't think he
Everybody
bothered that
everybody
much.
knows he has good season and he's a good player.
Yes.
But to hear those numbers,
Yeah, I was like, really? I did not expect him to be that high.
wow. Well, that makes
Huh.
things interesting in this upcoming season for
really
me.
does. It really does.
Yeah, no, I Calvin Ridley is one of those players I think that gets kind of overshadowed by because he is technically the 2 on that team. But I
Just
think
for
that
perspective, Julio Jones was wide receiver 41.
Come on, he did.
wow.
He
Well, he
hardly
missed. He
played the
missed. He got
season.
injured. He missed some games.
Yeah, he had 9 games.
Any opportunity to
Um,
rag on Julio Jones, I have
Any
to stand up for
opportunity.
my guy.
Any opportunity.
He was not
Yeah,
a part of this
but-
game.
That's good to remember. Calvin Ridley, I think, is one of those guys where
definitely a sleeper.
he's always great to have on your team.
Right? He's still
Just
young.
because still young, and I mean, dude is balling. He's been balling for 2 seasons now.
Wow.
Doing really
I think he
well
just-
and being
he just
as
gets-
consistent.
Overshadowed by Julio.
Yeah.
Possibly.
I think that's the big thing with him.
And not so much by Julio's play, but by Julio's name.
his name. Yep.
Possibly.
But that is something that our listeners can use to their advantage. Let those guys go for Julio. I mean, definitely get a gauge of where this guy is going and see if you can get value on him. I think Calvin Ridley is a awesome. Honestly, I think he could be a wide receiver one, depending on your team.
Yeah, with those
So-
numbers, he's a wide receiver one that you could get in a wide receiver two position.
You
Yeah.
could probably get him in
Yes.
the third or fourth round,
Yeah.
depending on your league.
Because I don't think that the
his name
name,
isn't
you don't
that
put
big
his
right
name
now.
up with a Tyreek Hill or Devontae or
Exactly.
any of these guys.
Wow.
Especially considering now some of the names that were there, after free agency and everything, and there's some shuffling that's going to be happening. So, and they were definitely, I mean, Michael Thomas, where's he going to go? All these things. So,
Yeah.
I'll take I'll go next. I'll
Okay.
go next.
You go, Theo.
Because Sherlin, you said you have a really good one, and I don't know if mine is as good. So
Well, I
I'll
don't
let
hype
you go.
myself up, so I'll let you start.
I'll let you go. I'll let you go last.
Thanks.
Since you say you're gonna stump us.
Last but not least.
Last but not least. All right. So this player had 878 all-purpose yards last year,
Okay.
521 rushing, 357 receiving.
So if
The average.
can I interrupt? If
Go ahead.
if I guess the position, you will tell me now.
If I guess the position, no.
Okay.
You know that if I tell you he has
He's
Okay.
clearly a rusher.
all-purpose yards, yeah, he has 521 rushing yards and 357 receiving yards last year. Averaged 4.6 yards a carry. Let's see. He
Was he a starting?
he finished at RB16.
Hmm.
And I can tell you that because I think that's actually going to that'll make you think it's someone who it's not. So yeah, he finished at RB16. He was 10th overall in touchdowns last year, scoring 10.
Is he Chase Edmonds?
No.
Okay. Okay.
No. I see that would be too obvious. That would be a little too obvious
Okay.
for me to go Chase Edmonds. I think you would have guessed that in any event.
Right.
How many touchdowns did he have?
He had 10 touchdowns. He had 8 rushing and two receiving.
Wow. What can I go with?
Is
Kenyon Drake?
No,
it DeAndre Swift?
it's DeAndre Swift.
Oh,
You got it.
it's a
Well
good
done.
guess. Good guess. Good guess.
Well done. Yes. DeAndre
Okay.
Swift.
Well,
What's
guess
he gonna
what?
be next season? It's gonna be interesting to see, with Jamal Williams coming in the backfield. Or is he just a
I'm not
backup?
threatened at all.
Or is it someone?
I'm
So
not threatened at all. I think
I
Jamal
think
Williams will be the perfect backup. He can do DeAndre Swift like things, but he's not DeAndre Swift.
yeah. As an owner of DeAndre Swift, I'm not threatened either. I feel pretty good about my stock.
Right.
So I'm looking
Especially,
forward to see what he can do. I am more threatened by Jared Goff, honestly,
I was just gonna say by Jared Goff
than Jamal Williams.
and the knee biting coach.
Yeah,
Right.
that was actually that
Protect
was
your
going to be
knees.
my last clue for you guys. Actually, the last clue was his head coach is a fan of biting things.
Well, yeah, we would have gotten that one. All right. Well, I don't have as many clues as you guys, but I still think it's going to stump you guys. So, in terms of these are his targets. Game 1, 8 targets. Game 12, 8 targets. Game 17, 6 targets. So this guy has
This is very all over the place.
Did he miss the games in between?
game 12, 10 targets. I missed that one. He has a lot
Oh.
of targets. So first, guess the position.
Running back?
He's a running back, right?
For clarity, is he missing the games that you're not calling?
Oh, he has a ton of targets in between, but it's not,
Okay.
like 5, 3, 4, 6, 5.
Okay.
But those are some big target games. And these are the things that stood out to me. So it clearly opened my eyes. So in PPR, he's RB15. In standard, he's RB24.
Okay,
And
so
last-
clearly pass catcher.
right?
So what's his rushing stats? Oh, you ain't giving us them.
Mediocre rushing stats. I think about 500 yards. Yeah, about 500
Okay.
yards.
Ooh,
The very last clue is he was not a starting running back.
I was just gonna say he has to be a RB2.
He was not a starting running back. I almost want to go Chase Edmonds, but I don't think so. I don't think so.
No, very close. And I actually thought your guy, I actually thought we chose the same guy. Naheem Hines.
Yeah, I would have never guessed that.
No, I wouldn't have guessed that either.
That blew my mind today, looking him up.
Naeem Hines is interesting. Yeah. Well, not interesting in fantasy, but I mean,
Oh.
I think he's going to be interesting in terms of like playing with people's minds.
Yeah.
When I say interesting, using that what happened last year to try and kind of get people either try to get a Jonathan Taylor on your team
I was
or
gonna
try
say,
and get people to
do you think?
buy
'Cause
into him.
Remember, Jonathan Taylor, his stats wasn't that impressive early in the season.
In the beginning. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you
he
think that
came on
Naeem
late.
Hines was one of the people who like took some of his stats away? I think so.
I think so too.
Like now,
Oh
looking
yeah,
at
no, definitely. Naeem Hines, and then even Wilkins who had
Wilkins.
a game or two in there
right,
where he was effective.
I'm sure.
No,
it's
I mean
just-
it's actually, I mean, a lot of people are saying Jordan Taylor, like they're thinking the world of him, and I think he's amazing. But a lot of people are talking about first round like drafting, and I'm just not sure because how
no.
much running backs do they have in that? Naeem Hines isn't going anywhere.
remember
Jordan Wilkins isn't there, and Marlon Mack came back.
The Mac is
So
back.
I mean, he's not a I don't know if I can count him as a workhorse,
No,
No,
but
I think,
he can definitely be one. But I don't know how they're going to use him.
It's not in
I
that
think I
system.
think for that backfield is definitely a wait and see right now.
Yeah,
To see what happens after training camp, to see if they keep all those running backs or if they just have them there for camp bodies.
Well, I
But-
think the scheme calls for multiple backs. As you can see, Naeem Hines' role was third downs. And
But let's also remember there's a new quarterback in town.
that's
We don't know
true
if
as well.
that's going to change their scheme or not.
yeah,
That's true.
yeah, that's
That's
true.
true.
And if correct me, but even in his MVP season, I'm not sure if Wentz was a
With the
big
ball.
target of the to RBs. Who was his RB in that? Was it Jordan Howard in that
I think so.
No,
That
part of the
MVP season?
season,
Oh no, I think it was
No.
JJ, wasn't it?
possibly.
was it
Jay,
Ajayi? Yeah.
Ajayi was with them.
Possibly.
Ajayi, I think Ajayi
wasn't
was
a pass
solid that
catching back.
season.
But he wasn't a pass catching back. But
no.
no. Bruiser.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see. Naeem Hines definitely not on my fantasy radar. I mean, but I think he's pretty good though.
Yeah,
I
he is good.
mean, watching him, dude
But see,
can run. He can really.
But this is one of the things about
ball.
fantasy that you may not be looking at the guy to choose for your team, but these guys affect some of the other guys that you want to choose for your
Right.
team. And
Right.
so you have to pay attention to these guys. Like I would have never guessed that he might have taken away some of Jonathan Taylor's stats, but now that I see it, I'm
Mhm.
like, okay, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. So these are some of the things you have to look at, guys, when you want to be a real fantasy football player. You know,
Yeah, you got to get deep in the numbers.
gotta get deep.
And what happened last season is always big. You always want to look at, especially with players that you're interested in, do your own research, do your own tape watching,
Yep.
and try and pull out the reality from the fantasy.
Or you could just listen
You
to
see
the
what I
show.
did there?
Yeah, I saw
See
that.
what I
I saw
did
that.
there? The fantasy. Yeah.
But then I threw us a
Thought that was
bone.
pretty cool.
You can also just be lazy and listen to the Couch Champions, and we may be able to tell you,
Hey,
give you a
that's
few
what we're
tips
here
and
for.
tricks. Yeah.
That's what we're here for. All right. So let's move on to our segment 3, our final segment, and our biggest segment of the podcast today. We want to have a little wishing time, guys.
I wish.
If I had one wish,
one
One
wish.
wish.
what would it be? If I had
Well-
one wish.
For more wishes.
Oh, you're one of those guys.
Yeah, I am. Sorry.
See, I see. You are ungrateful. You are ungrateful people,
I like to call it
and you
greedy.
are the ones that get trapped in the lamp and become a genie
Yeah.
because you ask for more wishes, and then the genie is like, "Okay, I have a way to give you more wishes. You're
Yeah.
gonna grant wishes for the rest of your life."
It does have consequences sometimes.
Yeah. See. Yes. But no, guys, we want to talk about wishes as it pertains to these rookies coming into the league. We got some very interesting rookie candidates this season coming in. Some very interesting at every position. I think we have some game changers coming in, and we want to give. Where do we hope that they go? The draft is coming up in a few weeks. I feel so good to say weeks now.
I know.
It has
Yes.
been months.
Life will be
Since
returning.
when the league ends, the draft is the next thing to look forward to.
Oh, definitely. When will life return?
Right. So this is our first spark of life coming back into fantasy because so many ramifications of these moves that are going to happen in April. And so we just want to take a second to talk about what are the things that we hope happen. So I'm going to kick it off actually. And I want to talk about Devonta Smith, the wide receiver coming out of Alabama. Devonta Smith, man, he's such an interesting player. I didn't really know, I'm not a big college football watcher, so when it comes to these rookies, I usually am late to the party. I'm learning exactly what their names are and who are the ones to look out for. But
Right.
I remember the first time I saw Devonta Smith, and I immediately kind of got
Ma-
I just
Man
kind of shrugged
crush?
him off. No, no,
Oh,
no,
the
no, no, no.
opposite.
Shrugged him off. No, no. I mean, I'm like, this guy is tiny. This
Yeah.
guy, I mean, he's gonna get crushed in the league. But you only have to watch just a very short amount of tape to realize that this guy is actually the real deal, and it's gonna be super interesting to see wherever he goes. So my spot that I would love to see him go is the Chargers.
Okay.
I feel like landing on that team. I think Keenan Allen has been the main guy there for so long,
That's true.
and we keep waiting on the emergence of Mike Williams. Everyone is just like, "Oh,
I'm
this
not
this is
waiting.
gonna be the year, Mike
Yeah,
Williams."
I
Not
kind of
waiting.
let that go a long time ago.
It's time. It's time, man. It's time to let it go. It's nothing. Nothing's happening. He hasn't done it yet. He's never going. It's not going to happen. He didn't do it with Justin Herbert last year. I know had some injured games, but he didn't do it last year. It's not
He has
happening.
he has an injured career.
Yeah, he has an injured career. Let's let it go. Devonte Smith, the Heisman Trophy winning Devonte Smith as a wide receiver. I mean, he could get into this team and completely make them dominant and scary.
Yep.
Right.
This team with Keenan Allen on one side and Devonta Smith on the next.
Right.
Whew, that's a dangerous team. I mean, I think these DBs would be terrified. Looking back to what Devonta Smith did in his last season in college, I mean, it's crazy. I mean, this guy, this looks like NFL stats. 117 catches for 1,856 yards,
That's crazy.
23 touchdowns, 15.9 catches a game.
Wow.
I mean, this dude was elite. And I don't want to value what we saw because we know college is different than the NFL. But if you look at his game and I actually looked in and watched the tape, this guy, he just beats everyone everywhere. He just beats guys.
Yeah.
And he doesn't look like he can. Like I said, dude is like literally stick figure
I'm getting
level
some
of a
some Randy
person.
Moss vibes from him.
Yeah, I mean, but even smaller. But the dude is fast, and the dude, he can really high point that ball, and it would be crazy to see him with Herbert, who we know has a cannon for an arm. Herbert really showed off that cannon last season. Arguably, his only target was Keenan Allen, but Keenan was a great target. Eckler.
Right.
Eckler is a great target in the short range. And so having Keenan Allen, Austin Eckler, Devonta Smith,
Yeah,
and I guess now Jared Cook in there as tight end.
that's a lot of weapons.
Where there's some beautiful things that can be possible if that thing comes to fruition. And with the Chargers picking where they're picking, which I believe they're picking at number 13.
Yep.
I think it's a possibility. I think the teams before them have other needs.
Right.
Dallas, I think their wide receivers are set. Denver, their wide receivers are set.
Right.
And it's all about the quarterbacks now.
Right.
Yeah.
With a lot of these teams picking in the first 15. So I think they really are gonna have an opportunity to get him, and I think they should. I know some people have been talking about offensive line, but man, a chance to make your offense this deadly doesn't come
Right.
this often.
Yeah,
So
they do
like
have a
you
tough
said,
decision to make.
Yeah. And like you said,
yeah,
paired
but
with
that's my
a
pick.
young QB, paired with a young QB, like these guys can
Yeah.
grow together. So
Mhm.
that's very exciting.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm tossing my penny in for that.
All right.
Sherlyn, what you got for us?
Well, I'll go with an obvious one. And this one is obvious because everybody knows where he's going already. But I'm just excited about what he can do for the team. And this guy is Trevor Lawrence, right? So can you imagine? Yeah, can you imagine him with going to the Jaguars with the weapons that are there? DJ Chark, as you said, Laviska Shenault, that showed some sparks as a versatile wide receiver and can be a running back who can catch the ball. Marvin Jones just signed there, a veteran. TD Westbrook, the fast lightning TD Westbrook. Philip Dorsett, he's not going to win you any championship games, but I'm talking about like real
single one.
Not at all. But
Philip Dorsett is Bahamian, by the way, just
we know that. Shout out to the 242. But with those weapons and these guys, they've already been in the league for a while, so he's not like playing with rookies and they're just learning. These guys are just ready for him. It's almost like a plug and play situation. And Trevor Lawrence has been comped to John Elway, Peyton Manning, Andrew Luck. Like this has been one of the most excited I've been for a prospect in a little while. So I just can't wait to see him on the field.
Do you think he lives up to the hype in year one?
I don't expect him to, but I'd love to see it. I like to see my quarterbacks, take their time, learn the system, and then show off come year 2, year 3, year 4. I know we've been spoiled with those Patrick Mahomes and Jackson and Allen like breaking out in their second year. When we forget that Aaron Rodgers took like 4 years to even get on the field. And so I'm willing to give him time. I don't need to see him be Michael Jordan in year 1.
My thing with rookies, every rookie that I see, you don't need to conquer your first year.
Right.
But you should spark.
Yeah, you should spark.
You should flash. There should be something when I see in a few of your games, right. I should see something that makes me say that's special.
Yeah.
Right.
Because even with Joe Burrow, like coming in, I was like, I don't buy it. But like by game 2, I was like, okay.
Right.
Yeah, he got
dude, like you saw it almost immediately with Burrow.
Almost immediately. So I'm just
excited. and with the I think with the almost immediate kind of catching on of guys like Burrow and Herbert, the pressure is going to be more so on for these QBs, these rookie QBs coming in because these managers are saying, oh, it's possible.
Definitely
possible. Before it was like, we got to give them a chance, but we're seeing more than ever, these QBs are getting a year. Yep. You get a year, buddy.
Yeah.
You get a year, maybe 2. Do something for us.
2 if you're lucky.
If you're lucky, you're
going.
Yeah. If you're lucky, R.I.P. Josh Rosen.
R.I.P.
R.I.P. I mean, and Tua he better do something this year.
I was just gonna say, like, Tua and Hurts, these guys who were like hyped last year, and now all of a sudden people are like, are they even going to start? And I'm like, these guys are just in their second year. What do you guys
Yeah.
expect of these guys?
Yeah. Yeah, we got to give them a shot.
We gotta give
But
'em a
seeing
shot.
guys dominate early is gonna make not only GMs anxious but fans as well. Because everyone wants to take a shot on
Right,
that coin flip next
right,
generational talent.
right. So this year, I think he's going to be like, this is going to be a plug and play. Like these guys are already ready. The pot's already seasoned. The salt and black pepper is already in it. He
I'm
just
looking
needs
forward to it.
to get in and simmer.
I like that analogy, and I like that for my DJ Chark as well. Come on,
I
Trevor
know you
Lawrence. Come
would.
on.
I know you
Come
would.
on, Trevor Lawrence. Be everything that they want you to be. Be all you can be.
Like the army. Who you got, Glenn?
For my first wish pick, I have Naji Harris going to the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Okay.
And it's very plausible that he drops to 24 because there's a very QB offensive line, wide receiver heavy draft.
Right.
And I think he's a really talented running back. But of course, running backs aren't at a premium right now.
No.
But they should be a premium for the Steelers because the Steelers need it badly.
Mhm. Yeah.
They are.
And the Steelers are a
terrible
running
league.
team. Well,
They are.
they
are.
were a running team.
Yeah, they just all throw now because they don't have anyone to run.
Because
Right.
James Conner is just
Like their total yards with all their running backs last year was 1,351 yards.
That's
That's
crazy.
that's not one running back. That's all them combined.
That's crazy.
Wow.
And that I
Wow.
mean, you just can't sustain a backfield that way. So I think Najee Harris would be perfect for that backfield. Like the numbers he put up, the NFL numbers. Now, granted, he had Alabama, who's a powerhouse and just have talent all over the place.
Right.
true.
I actually think it speaks more to his abilities that he was able to put up those numbers with all those players there.
Right. Right.
He had 251 attempts and 14,000 yards, averaging 5.8 yards and 26 touchdowns. Like that's like
That is
top
crazy.
shelf running back in the NFL level. So if he could even produce 80% of that, that would be much better for Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think the issue is just now with running backs, man, and the scary thing with running backs right now is this lean that the league is taking towards the committee back, and
Right.
also this lean that the league is taking almost against the running back position in terms of payment.
Right.
It's I think more and more teams are realizing that paying a running back is just not, it's really not a very profitable thing to do in this time, just because of the position, makes for more injury, and the running backs their shelf life is low.
And
Yep.
to speak about profit and injury, 17 game season now. So that's even more more
Exactly.
opportunity.
Yeah. Oh,
to-
right,
to
right,
wear
exactly.
down.
Yeah, the addition of this game.
So
And
it's
even
more
more reason
opportunity.
to have a committee so you
It's a-
don't wear down your one running back.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Exactly.
So I mean, we may
Yeah.
even see a shift in fantasy where running backs aren't being taken in the first round anymore because everyone have committees, so they ain't getting as much points as they used to.
Yeah.
That
We'll
would
see. It
suck.
depends because
It would suck.
it'll be twofold if anything. It'll
Fantasy
be that they're
gods.
only running backs.
I'm going to pray to the fantasy gods that doesn't happen.
Yeah, I think it could be a thing where you have like maybe one or two running backs that go in the first round, and
Right.
then another
Yeah.
running back doesn't go off until the fourth or fifth because you'll have that, the top tier running backs
It's
that
definitely-
are getting those, but
it's
the
definitely
gap
starting
is
to
becoming
trend.
wider.
It's honestly starting to trend the way that tight ends are. Like you have the top 3 or 4, and then everyone else
Mm-hmm.
in the same category.
Yeah. But yeah, man, I mean, I think I would love, I mean, honestly, running backs on the Steelers have generally meant fantasy points in the
Right.
past.
Right.
Yeah,
when James Conner first started, he was amazing.
He was
He was
balling
great.
out that first year.
The
You
first
guys
year he came in
remember-
for Le'Veon. He was great, but
You guys remember Damian Williams? Those like 4 games while I think LaDainian was injured.
I think it was
Mhm.
more than
He
four.
was like RB1 for like those 4 weeks.
I think
Yep.
I think it was more than 4 games, but he was balling out.
He was balling out, and then
yeah,
he
not
just
to mention, yeah,
disappeared.
definitely. What about the other guy with the colored hair? I can't. Is it Jonathan? Jonathan something?
On the Steelers.
Yeah, he was a Steelers running back, man. He had colored. He had like I remember he had colors in his hair.
How long ago was this?
Maybe I'm talking about the same guy. You
That
said
was
Damian Williams?
Yeah.
Was it
his last name
Damian? Wasn't it Jonathan Williams?
Possibly.
I think it was Jonathan Williams.
Possibly. But
Okay,
last name
that's
was
yeah,
Williams.
John, yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that was
He
it.
had
That
the
was
colorful locks, right?
it. Right. That's
Yes,
it.
he had the colorful locks.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
it.
I picked him
Okay.
up off the
All right.
waivers, and he almost like won me my
Mhm.
league.
Oh
Yeah,
my
he
goodness,
was,
I remember that.
and then he promptly disappeared.
Right.
Yeah, he was
Right.
yeah.
Into the
I think
wind.
he went to the Panthers. And he was never heard from again.
No.
Someone sent on the APB on him.
Who's next?
But all right, I go into my next player. And this is a player that I think we all know. Everyone would have heard his name, and the hype has been going up and up and up ever since. He did his pro day a couple of days ago. This is the one and only Kyle Pitts
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
out of Florida,
Love me some Kyle Pitts.
tight end. Dude is otherworldly. I mean, it's really really scary to even kind of consider Kyle Pitts right now and what he could do to this league, because he's definitely that once I don't need that generational player, man. I mean, he's got the stats, he's got the build, he's got the athleticism as a tight end to do whatever he wants wherever on the field.
Yep.
So Pitts, I could the landing spot that I honestly think is gonna happen, and I've seen a lot of mocks see him making this happen. A kid Pitts to Atlanta.
That would be awesome.
That's where and that's where I'd love to see him go. Honestly,
It would be awesome.
Pitts. This is another situation where you add Pitts to that team, and you have another very deadly offense, very scary offense.
And he does it. What I like, if he goes there, he doesn't have to be the number one right away. He can train behind Julio, behind Ridley. He has a He would have a great quarterback.
He has time because generally speaking, the tight end position takes a little bit longer for these guys to kind of get into. Tight end position has a lot more roles than your average offensive position.
Although he seems to me that he's going to hit the ground running. I could be wrong, but he seems like he's going to hit the ground running.
I mean, it's very possible. I mean, they're comparing this guy to Calvin Johnson. He hasn't touched the league yet, and they're already comparing him to Calvin Johnson. Wow. I think that's might be a little bit much there.
Yeah,
this guy's a wide receiver that just happens to play tight end.
In measurables, yeah. Possibly. I mean, you can't argue. I mean, the dude has.
I think.
What did I see the other day? He has a 83-inch wingspan.
Wingspan, yeah, that's like
which is like, dude is like a person. With his arms out is like a whole basketball player.
Seriously,
doing like with his arms out.
Dude is big, 6'6",
huge,
226 pounds,
running a 4.4.
You ain't gonna bully this guy around.
No. So I mean, he has everything you're looking for in a player. I haven't heard a lot about his blocking, but I don't think he's been asked to block a lot.
I don't think he will ever need to block.
Yeah, I think
he's not big blocking tight end.
Yeah, but for him, I don't think that's going to be a worry. I think with some other tight ends coming into for fantasy, that is, you worry about their blocking because you want them to be on the field as much as possible, and coaches want to put a tight end that can block so they don't have to continue running guys in and out. But we see that that's not really a problem for those guys, for the big guys that we know. Kelsey, and now Waller.
Right.
Waller, who established himself, I think, last season as one of the big tight ends.
Yeah.
Right.
The blocking not necessarily an issue when you can catch the ball and go up against these DBs and pretty much do whatever you want. You're not gonna have this guy blocking too much.
Yeah. And
So go ahead.
Your choice of him going to the Falcons when Austin Hooper was there the last season, he was
Yeah, he balled out.
He balled out.
He did.
I had him in redraft, and I just picked him up on a whim.
He was a waiver pickup that year,
I was like, all right, I need a tight end. Let's go Austin Hooper. And he was plug and play. I didn't even look at him in my roster. I was like, yep, he playing every week.
Yeah, every week.
He was balling
every
out.
week start.
He was really consistent. So if he and Kyle Pitts is definitely more athletic than Austin Hooper is. So he would really do that system.
Yeah, I think it'll be well. I think it's gonna be, I think it's interesting because, in as far as dynasty leagues, I think he would be a great piece to have.
Oh yeah.
But like we said, it's gonna be interesting to see if he comes right into that. I think a great move would be to allow someone else to draft him. Hope that he takes a little while to come around and maybe try and work some type of situation where you
rolling the dice on that one.
I was gonna say, according to your league and your league mates,
it depends on your league mates. But I mean, if you make the deal good enough, go over there and grab yourself Kyle Pitts, especially if he gets a good landing.
Two livers, one piece of your heart.
I feel like if you don't have Kittle, Kelsey, or maybe even Waller, you should be trying to get Pitts.
And Kittle is a question mark, honestly, because
injuries.
We know he's had some injuries. So it's gonna be interesting to see. I mean, we definitely what the fantasy landscape needs is more dominant tight ends.
Yes.
So I think we're happy generally to see another tight end come in and hopefully be that next name tight end that can be drafted in the first round of fantasy leagues.
Possibly.
We don't have a whole lot of those. Kelsey and then crickets, pretty much, that you want to take in the first round. So I'm hoping that Kyle Pitts really turns into that tight end that you want and gives people another option to grab at, so that when you're going up against that Kelsey owner, you're not so terrified.
Seriously.
Hey, even if you're the Kittle owner and someone else drafts Pitts, may want to try and get that trade.
Yeah, you do that. Okay.
Yeah, that could be something.
I would trade Kittle for Pitts.
That could be something for sure.
Okay. Well.
But that's my last wish.
All right.
Let it happen, Genie. Come on, baby.
I have a deep dive. And it's a wild card. And it's probably a name that most people haven't heard before, but I like this guy because I can see him being one of those, oh wow, he why didn't I see this? Why didn't I draft him high? His name is Rashad Bateman. You guys heard of him?
Mm-hmm.
And I do also like his landing spot. It's touted that he could end up going to the Patriots, who need a pass
15?
catch. Yeah, some drafts have him going to the Patriots. I know you'd like to hear that, right?
No, I don't think he likes to hear that at all.
I don't. I think Harry has burnt Bill.
Well, here's
hesitant on taking another wide receiver.
He's not. He doesn't.
Convince him, Shirley.
He doesn't have high draft capital because he would be with the 1, 2, 3. He'd be probably the 5th receiver off the board. This guy runs a 4.4, 6'2", 210, and he's a route runner. And that's something that the Patriots need and something that they specialize in. His stats are not that impressive coming from college. He was behind a few big hitters. But a lot of scouts have him as one of the most draft-ready receivers that are coming into the league. And last year, I really, really felt bad about missing on Jefferson, who had a similar build and who had similar statistics, and no one ever knew his name until we saw like game 8, game 9, and I think this guy can do it.
That's a great point. That's a really great point there, because you have these guys. I think we all focus on these guys and the names
Right.
coming in with this with
Yep.
these rookies. The names you always get, and you hear them over and over again. So you start to focus on them. Jamar Chase, Devonta Smith, Jalen Waddle. You
Right.
hear those names over and over again, and you miss on some of these guys, and then these same guys that you're like cringing at. They get in the league, and like you said, they are ready to go, and they
Ready to
start the
go.
ball, and you're like, oh, how did they miss this? And that's always the saying, how did they miss this? How did
Exactly.
they miss this? Because you were focusing on these other guys,
The big
and we're
names.
not taking them into consideration. So I think you got a point there, Sherlin.
Thanks,
I
man.
think maybe Glenn, you should consider being excited about this.
You should take a
I
look.
mean, if I were the GM, I would take another stab at a wide receiver, but I just know Bill don't really focus on skill positions.
Yeah, but you don't have to go that high. Is what I love about him. Even in fantasy, I could probably
Yeah,
in
I
a
mean,
dynasty draft. Well, I'm sorry, I'm giving up some of my dynasty picks, but
You could probably trade back into like the 20s and still get him.
you can,
Mm-hmm.
and
So-
look at who are some of the best of the Patriots receivers. Julian Edelman, he wasn't one of the highest drafted. What some other names?
Like the fifth
Wes
round or
Welker?
something.
Wes Welker, he wasn't that highly. The Patriots, Bill and the Patriots like to use guys who has talent and skill and twitchiness.
They like
Brady at that time. They had Brady, just so you know.
That's also a factor.
they like
Also a factor.
versatility. Bill likes guys that can do more than one thing.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm looking forward to that being a deep
I
dive.
don't hate it. I don't hate it.
Bateman,
hate it.
yeah, Bateman is
I don't hate
interesting. I've recently looked at some tape with him as I've been trying to take deeper dives on some of these guys.
Yeah,
And I think he's definitely the next one, the next name up after the big three.
I agree.
And
I'm just
it's
holding
going
out
to
that
be interesting.
we move
Because-
up and get a quarterback.
Well, eventually, but you guys have already stuck your flag in Cam Newton this year, so
It's a 1-year deal, bro.
Cam, baby.
yeah.
We got plenty draft picks. Package all of them and go get a
And
quarterback.
I think you guys are maybe getting more depending on the season. Yeah.
I don't like that.
Glenn, you want to close us out here?
I don't like that. All right, so my final wish list is Kadarius Toney
Okay.
Oh,
Going
talk about
to-
deep dives now.
going to the Ravens at 27.
Okay.
The Ravens desperately need another wide receiver.
Okay.
Desperately.
Mm-hmm.
Their total receiving yards was 2,000.
This one is
Wow.
painful for me.
2,000.
I know.
No receiver above
Brown?
800. Brown had 769 receiving yards. Their next highest receiver was Mark Andrews.
Mark Andrews, my boy.
And then you had Willie Snead at 400. They need, and particularly Jackson needs another receiver that he can throw to. And I think Kadarius would fit that mold, and he would be available at them drafting at 27.
Well, I was biting my tongue. I didn't want to hijack, but do they need a wide receiver? I don't think so, because I
think they do. I think they do.
I think they don't.
Ah,
I don't
boy,
think that they
it-
scheme to use wide
Yeah.
receivers.
That is the
I
thing.
know
The
they
scheme.
I know they don't scheme, but you need something to take the pressure off the run.
I would say that I think that they do need it.
Once you already lock down Brown, I mean, it's like, okay, if they can't throw the Brown, we know they can run.
But
Yeah.
do they try to throw to Brown? That's what I'm
They
thinking.
do. They do. It's
I
just
don't
he
know.
always covered because everyone knows he's the only person running down the field.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, you saw all of these guys. Ravens were trying to be. They were trying to be,
And-
all
and-
over. They were trying to make plays for all of these guys in free agency.
And
And
let's be
you
honest,
saw guys turning down deals.
this the
That's
way
what I'm
this-
saying. They don't
this is-
throw.
This
I
is
don't
the way I
like
look at it. If you're trying to make Lamar more than just a runner, he needs someone to throw to. because
threat of throwing.
exactly because
Right.
it's only a matter of time before teams catch on to exactly how you running this ball every time.
Mm-hmm.
He needs someone
Which-
to throw to, and he can't evolve as a thrower if he has no one to throw the ball to.
Did you hear
I
the
mean, that's
interview
true.
where he said the guys on defense were calling out the players before he said hike?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
Lamar has stated many times that he's not just a runner. He wants to be more than just a runner. So he needs receivers to throw to. And I think that's what they were trying to do with getting more receivers in free agency. So I think they need to address it in the draft. So I think he would be a good fit for their team.
Yeah. So talk about. Do you have what's he? This is one player that I have done no research on. So what is his
He's,
build like?
He's a Florida
Is he
Gator,
more of a
6 feet,
speed guy?
6 feet, 193 pounds.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
So
he's like a slot.
I think he's a slot. Could be an X, but you have Marquise to be an X, so you don't need him on the outside.
Marcy, but I see the thing is, I think I would love for Marquise to be a slot. I'd love for them to convert him
I think
He
should
is-
be a
because
slot.
going
built
up,
more like a
he's
slot.
just it's tough. It's
He's-
tough, man.
He's
Marquise
not
is a shorter guy.
Yeah, he can't
You
be
know,
the
he's a
main
shorter guy. You know,
Yeah, he's
for him to
not,
go up against some of these corners, they're gonna shut him down every time. I mean, he just can't hang with them unless he beats them off. He has to beat them off the line, or
his
else
only
there's no
chance is to
chance.
beat them.
Well,
he
I
can't
don't-
really do one-on-one battles.
Yeah, so yeah, I think they need someone that can get these contested catches a little bit more consistently,
Yeah.
so that Marquise can be open to do what he does.
Well, I don't mind if the Ravens just continue doing what they do, so that the starting receiver, Mark Andrews,
Okay.
can keep getting that ball.
Well, Mark
Mhm.
Andrews is going to get fed, but
Oh.
another receiver would even help him because now you have more.
He doesn't need anything.
People to
he
take away
barely,
attention.
he barely needs a quarterback to throw him the ball.
All right. We can come down off the Mark Andrews praise.
All right. Whew. Get a little
Mark
hot-blooded.
Andrews lover over here.
Speaking about Mark.
Yeah, but that's my pick. I think the Ravens would do good with another receiver
Okay.
to help with that offense a bit.
I think that's
Alrighty.
definitely a solid option and definitely something that is possible. So
Well,
looking forward to it. I'm just ready for this draft. I'm just ready to see what's
So
gonna
right.
happen. And we definitely want you guys listening to stay tuned. We definitely would love to have something going on during that time. We're not completely finished, divulging exactly what that's gonna be, but we'd love to have you guys experience it with you guys and be there for the ups, the downs, all of the moments of this draft, because we know it never happens the way.
there's going to be some surprises.
Yep. Oh yeah.
I
There's
can
gonna be
feel
some
it.
surprises, and
Oh,
it's the
yeah.
sweetest time. It's a great, like we said, it's a great taste of football again. Getting and it's the official beginning of the next fantasy season.
Agree.
Yeah.
After the draft is when rookie drafts can start to happen in dynasty leagues. It's when all draft rankings are finally put out, because we know where most of these players are going to be and the effects that all of the new rookies are going to have on the older guys.
Yep.
And so there's so much moving around that's going to happen in these next couple months, and we are just so excited for our fantasy to finally be kicking into swing again.
Oh, yeah, I can feel it.
Oh yeah.
Can't wait.
Do you guys sometimes, let me see if it's only me, do you guys just open your fantasy app and just stare at your teams,
Yep.
from time to time?
Oh yeah. Oh
All
yeah.
right, I'm
And
not
see, and
going-
this is another one of the beautiful things about dynasty.
Right. I can just imagine Mark Andrews just grabbing the ball there, just looking at his
Oh
name.
jeez. Okay.
Austin
All right.
Eckler. Okay, sorry.
All
You know what?
right.
You know
All
what?
right.
I'm not mad at that Mark Andrews because I have Lamar. So if Andrews does good, that means Lamar is doing good.
Awesome. You can take Lamar off your bench this year.
All right. On that note, guys, we are going to call that a show. We want to thank you so much for tuning in.
Was a good one.
Guys,
Was a good one.
it was a good show, right?
Yeah,
show,
it was a
good
great show.
I think it was a good show. We want to let you guys know that we are available on so many different podcast apps right now, guys. So check us out on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Podbean app, Spotify, Amazon Music, Pandora, and iHeartRadio. Pretty much wherever you can download a podcast, our
Everywhere.
podcast is there.
We are
So feel free, whatever your podcast of choice, app of choice, look for us there. The Couch Champions Fantasy Football Podcast. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in.